Well, hello there, everyone. You hear show you right here is like you're talking about, for proud goals, and this activity right here basically shows right here are some pictures right here I went and put together right here of like whenever I was about 2 or 3 years old, and then right here is like whenever I was about 4 or 5. But talk about for senior edition as well. But you see right here is like for digital design, for little brother, and basically that. Yeah, knowing about it's like for anything such as for proud and goals, and then this your next page right here put together right here is some writing and knowing about for basics about how we learned to read and write so far as you write our names. And I'm sure that like with anybody that on their first day of school that they're going to more likely say is to where that they have their complications with it trying to write their name especially on the paper. And then you're like one to where yeah it's like you're gonna be writing kind of like this right here, as well as like a rest of the names such as for Matthew, and like is like write your name plus you write the date on there, and then maybe the subject matter. The subject could more likely be is to where that reading or writing or story time or anything like that. Story time. So thinking about as to where whenever we're gonna be, get ready to read about something, if anybody like wanted to, where yeah, maybe if you're gonna go ahead and maybe draw a picture of some sort, like draw a picture right here, and this right here could be like say like a character or some sort, but this right here is basically that kind of like for practice as to where that if I had the ability, like I had the control to where that I can actually draw something and kind of get an idea for what I want to use. That one of those could be as to where that yeah I draw a character right here, and then I would give it like say a proper name. And what the proper name could be, it's like yeah, if it would be like maybe a girl or something in particular, and you're like wanting to where yeah is this a girl in class or some sort, or just one of your classmates or anything like that. So just thinking about necessarily to where that for anybody that if we're going to be a kid that you're going to go ahead and draw something, and one of those could be like on a piece of notebook paper or anything like that, something to kind of get your mind off the stress and anxiety. And see right here, go ahead and draw like this was right here was a character right here. And then with this character that more likely that, more likely mean is to where that draw, the eyes, right here. I draw some eyes right there. Draw the nose right here. And draw a little smile right here, such as, hey, how's it going? But on your hand, that you see right here are like is an example right here of like a girl right like right here is to where that it could be what you call one of my classmates. So thinking about from whenever we first start kindergarten, and thinking about necessarily to where the number things that maybe anybody think about maybe the score score on average would be is like to where that your score could be like maybe an A, so like 81% or some sort, or it could be like between a or a 90 or maybe a 91, between 81 and a 91% or so is a score. And let's just say this if the final score were to be about maybe a 75. So whenever we're in class, that a lot of times we may think about these required scores just to be able to pass the class. And sometimes whenever you're looking at your work, like, oh well, that right there, oh it's not so good. I'm like, I don't think she's gonna like it. Or I don't think the teacher's gonna like it. Yeah, this is a drawing that I went and put together right here. Talk about right here as a girl right here. Like, well, what's the what's the name of this girl? And I'm like, well, I'll probably think about necessarily to where really that give it any type of name necessarily, but this is how that I would do some of my work right here is to where that I would actually take a pencil right here and I would actually draw something, and one of those something would be is to where that yeah, they kind of draw something out like I may have mentioned before. But then on the other hand, that I'm like really, just talking about it, especially on like anything such as like on YouTube and anybody that may want to where yeah, that any of your other artistic talents and let's just say if I were to be drawing a sketch right here, if I were to if it, if something turned out to be real good, then more likely that I might say, well, I think it looks good if I can go ahead and maybe add just a little bit of color to it, add a little bit of purple and pink on the top or anything like that. So just thinking about that, if I want to maybe add like if the girl were to be holding a book in her hand, such as, I want to tell you a story, young man. I want to tell you a story. I want to share a story with you. So it's like we're like Warren to where that some of the classmates that we do meet is to where that you're like Warren to where that one of them is going to more likely say is to where hey you're cute looking or something. So, but there you have it. Right here is like a drawing right here of like a girl and like with anybody that knowing about between her if it's going to be romance or friendship, or if it's going to be about the relationships and connections with your classmates, especially to where how you will be able to bring up your grade scores. And I know that like with anybody, to where that whenever a lot of their grades, that they may see a lot of their grades improving just by is to where that if they come to class and as well as for their attendance as well as knowing that for what they learned and understood especially and it could be like for a job. And I know like with anybody that whenever you graduate it seems like to where that the most important things about is to where a whole part about is like storytelling is that that you get a good paying job as to where that any of your work that is published or anything like that. So whenever I'm working this work right here, I'm also thinking about right here as to where that any words that you want to add to this right here, I'm like give the person a name such as then like right here is like for students. I'll go ahead and write in here for students and that would show I'm like yeah going right in here for student. Go ahead and put. I know there's another way of how to do that, but anyway, yeah, student. I guess as of right now, I'm like yeah, it's trying to work that the pencil tool too, but they're trying to get that to work, which I know that if I were to write it, without having to release the mouse here, I can go ahead and the mouse control right here, I can maybe go ahead and write it and like in cursive right here. So anybody that may want to where their first time writing something and where it'd be like say yeah that first time writing something and you're like wanting to where okay that's how you're gonna say student, but then yeah other source of communication could be as to where my name is and so thinking about right here. My name is then draw like the underline as well as is Matthew. So the way any source of way of communication, and let's just say if that was written like maybe using like a crayon right here. So anybody that more likely wanted to where yeah between your sweet cheeks or anything like that, and you're like saying like a like you're funny, but on the other hand that other source of ways of communication about what our handwriting would look like during that time. So whenever I look at the some of these pictures right here, also thinking about as to where that yeah that you were bright and intelligent and you were had your mind a lot of times. It's like do you remember your first day of school? What you mentioned about what your favorite time of moment was, and one of those would be as to where that yeah that you were whenever you first started school that maybe that you liked the play with the blocks and then that maybe the shapes and then the crayons and coloring books or some sort. But another thing that think about is to where that yeah they show other people about what you can do is to where you pick up a pencil and then you actually draw something, and one of those will be is to where that yeah that one of your classmates, and I kept thinking about too, I kept asking myself as to where that what do other people think that whenever you actually draw them maybe during class time, whenever the teacher is talking or so, then it's like you start drawing a picture like this right here of somebody in the classroom, like, Matthew, what are you doing? Like, studying. Like, well, that don't look like no studying. That looks like that you're actually just drawing something just to kind of if that's just something that. And I know that anybody probably say if you're gonna be real bored out of your mind and you're gonna go ahead and maybe draw take some time just to kind of like besides maybe one of those on a smartphone, but we're going to go ahead and take some time to go ahead and work a sketch like this right here to where we're going to go ahead and draw a little character right here of a girl right here, and anybody say yeah well where's the eyebrows. So like draw just a little bit eyebrow right here and then eyebrow right there, and anybody that may want to wear that there's like a maybe like a little a sweater or maybe a dress outfit that maybe that she could be wearing as well. So anybody that may wear to her besides the girls, or maybe if it's the guys who could be in class too, and you're like wearing to her that woman that could talk to you, and anybody that may want to wear that yeah you have right here is the ribbon, I guess you say a bow or ribbon or so on the top. But whenever we draw something like this, if it's going to be like in black and white, and anybody that may want to wear, hey I would like to see what it looks like in color, or I would like to see what it looks like maybe with the border around it or so you're thinking about necessarily to where whenever somebody meets you and then you're like wanting to where ways it's interesting ways about how people meet each other, and one of those would be is to where that yeah that they could be following your work just by to where that hey did you do that I can yeah why but thinking about is to where when people look at these pictures right here, I really don't know what they're thinking, such as to where that during this time I think I was thinking about something that a toy that I had gotten maybe over the weekend or so that I was playing around with, or maybe something about yeah that parents would tell you play smile for the camera. If I can remember, yeah, only 2 or 3 years old whenever these pictures were taken right here, and thinking about necessarily to where you're like hey so you're thinking about whenever you look at some of these pictures, it's like to where what's the most embarrassing time really, and like anybody that may warrant to where that you're going to be meeting somebody, and maybe that you may not be prepared to say hi, like you could be maybe be busy with something, you could maybe be what you call writing in the journal, and then somebody walks up to you and maybe with like the Valentine type look, and I can maybe draw like a little heart right here, like your Valentine type look, and you're like, hey, how's it going? Like, I know you. Yeah, you're that girl in my class. Hey, how's it going? Like, well, like, hey, I read your story, like, what story? Oh, that story. Oh, yeah. So it seems like to where that sometimes what do you call that conversation to where that that you find maybe an attractive girl maybe in class, and then all of a sudden it's like you're thinking about necessarily to where that they start talking to you, and then you're like warned to where that you start looking at them and you kind of look at them as what you call attractive, or just somebody you would they kind of look at and thinking about as to where that friends that you knew from those school years, and then they actually reconnect with you maybe about maybe 12, 15 years later, and you're thinking about necessarily to where did you ever take your career any further other than that back in 1987 that you mentioned something about that you want to go ahead and read a book out loud to the class, and you that you want to draw a picture, you want to present that picture, and you want to have it maybe published on you say on like on an internet site such as anybody say, yeah, did anybody even know what Facebook was? So you're like Warren to where all the things that you were working with that thinking about is like really that any ways of how to pick up the story related. And I'm sure like with anybody that they may warrant to where really that such as would you call anything related to any Lucky Charms or anything like that, and you're like Warren to where that yeah, that girl that yeah she met me actually in the classroom that we were in class together at one time, but I didn't think that she even liked me anyway because the fact because yeah, the teacher got on to me a lot of times for not doing my work, or if it was anything that was related to, yeah, people didn't like that story or what you had to say about an assignment. So thinking about it to where that something to be proud of, and it just seems like to where that if it goes by as to where if it's true or not, to where that just because that somebody didn't like something that you were working on in class, and let's just say that this was an example right here of something I was working on, just to kind of say that that anything that I need to do that is class related, and let's just say that with this is something that is class related, and you're like Warren to where hey that yeah, you're doing something else, and then that something else would be is toward it. Well, this is something I do know how to do. I do know how to do this. So it seems like to where that what do we call that? That could be maybe a discussion, maybe that everybody here can maybe decide on to where that you're working on something, and then that may be what you call the next step is to where that while somebody was talking about something, while somebody was teaching something, you were working on something else, and it seems like all backwards to where that something else that somebody else found very interesting, but then now you're kind of like working on the opposite to where you're going back to like, oh well, back for what you were saying. It's like, well, we've already talked about that 5 minutes ago, Matthew. Well, what you been working on? Well, I was actually looking at this right here as to where that this person who mentioned about like, and so that they, so anybody that may want to where that instead of taking notes for, something that you mentioned to one of your classmates, that you would actually draw on a picture of them. And you're like, Warren, to where, okay. And I can also mention about this is about the future, about is to where that anybody like, back in 1987, did you really talk about, having your own bank account, having a credit card or any kind, or were you necessarily thinking about as to where that one of your favorite books, or maybe about, about your grades and as well as your favorite subjects? And like with anybody that, does anybody remember at all from what they talked about during recess time? So it's like, going out to the playground, do we remember anything that, from what we were talking about as to where that yeah, maybe a favorite game, or maybe favorite event, like you pick up a pencil and you just want to do one of your favorite things. So, and I could probably say that in the fifth grade, I could probably tell you anybody here in the fifth grade, if there was what you call one of those girls that what you call was one of attractive, then I'm sure a lot of classmates would talk to me, or like Warren Tor, that somebody invited you to join them for lunch. It's like during lunchtime that there was what you call one of those girls that walked up to you and asked you, hey, can you come sit with me? I'd like to talk to you for a little bit. And thinking about that, and I'm sure anybody would, whenever you're young, that especially if you're going to be in a new school, especially with the new school, I know I was in about 5 different schools, and if you're going to be in a new school, that you're going to have kids that are going to talk to you, and I know that you're going to be pretty shy, but you're going to have kids that are going to be talking to you and thinking about necessarily to where that hey, that yeah, we were in English class together, if you remember. So that whenever people start talking to you, or you may start talking to them, and sometimes you're like Warren to where that how come that you don't talk to them? And I can maybe say that really that that's something to where it seems like to where you just if it's really shyness or if it's about is to where that really that you may know what to say, but then really the right or wrong time of when to say it. So you walk up to somebody and they look at you as like, who are you? I actually am. Like, and they may say, "Are you crazy?" Just walk up to them and tell them about that you want to sit next to them, or you like that nice little bracelet or something that they're wearing. I'm like, you think that I'm crazy enough to just walk up to them and tell them about like you walk up to them and say, "Hey, that you're cute" or something. Like they're gonna maybe think of ways to where, okay, whatever, okay, whatever. Well, whatever. Okay, okay, cutie. I'm like, I don't know what you're thinking, but whatever. I get that all the time, or but then later on, they may say that, how come you didn't tell me that in the first place? So there may be other stories that I'm sure anybody would like to say whenever you're young, that that you that you're kind of getting used to everything, such as to where what you're doing in school. And so a lot of that, ever since I was in the fourth grade, if I can remember right, that a lot of my artwork is to where that they may say you want to you want to sit down and read a story, and sometimes you want to go ahead and include a picture, a freehand picture drawing of what you read about. And I'm sure anybody probably say I'm pretty impressed with that, but part of the assignment Matthew was talking about one or two paragraph written sentence about the story though. So if you can include like maybe the left here about what you want to say about the story, or if it's maybe the sentence phrase or anything like that. So just thinking about necessarily to where that like with anybody that they may warrant to where, yeah, how old were you whenever you first how to write in cursive or anything like that. But anyway, but there you have it. Talk about right here is talk about for between goals between proud and goals is knowing about for how when to be proud of something to where that yeah that whenever you're a kid that you may think about necessarily to where that you have problems with maybe reading and writing, as well as for you may think that do people think of you as attractive or not. Hey, you've been presented in class as well, so thinking necessarily about a lot of things, of course, to think about. But one of those things will be is to where that you just kind of get away from fear and get away from the shyness, and just thinking about to where that try to improve your skills as best you can. And I'm sure that anybody probably say that we may see our grade point average go up to a certain amount. So then really that whenever we come to school, you may have heard that before, to where we come to school to learn, right? But on the other hand, that seems like some of the time that like with any kids is to where that maybe some of the depression, or maybe some of what you call that the mood, the behaviors is to where like with any kids that you're going to be in the classroom with about maybe 5 students, or maybe 10, or maybe 15 or 20 students, or maybe about 30 students. And sometimes it seems like to where you keep thinking that they're not going to like your work, because that that they whenever you're in class that you gotta go by the requirements. And with these requirements could go as to where that you start working something, and then they may start pointing out to where that hey, that this is an alright sketch, but you didn't draw it, align it properly. It's if you know that that the measurements go by, which you call writing here, or you were supposed to, you got these reversed right here, Matthew. You were supposed to write the subject on the top, and then go ahead and date right here, and then go ahead and write your name right here. So just thinking about it to where that whenever we do something wrong, and the teacher asks to see it, and then you're like, really, that they may say that I'm not, trying to argue, but I don't think that you're going to want to see it, just because that I don't think it's done right. So let's just say that on average, to where this right here would have been I know I showed you other examples before, but this right here would be maybe an example of some of my work that I may would have done in class if I would have been in like in the kindergarten. So I know that if I would have spent more time with this, that I would probably say that this right here would be some good examples of some of my freehand work back whenever I was in the kindergarten, maybe in the first grade. And I know a lot of teachers would say that that's a good sketch, Matthew, but to let you know that the assignment asks for about 2 or 3 paragraphs written about the story, about anything about the subject matter, and as well as that any papers with the mathematical type stuff. So let's just say that like with anybody that if they're going to be a student and thinking about it to where does every homework assignment, of course, require a picture. But I just really think that it's pretty artistic and very talented. But some teachers and some people that may say as to where that it's not supposed to be included on everything. So anybody that may say that you can't read my writing, and more likely that you may see a little bit, you may be able to read about what's going on. It's like if you want to go ahead and include a picture, maybe like a little smiley face, which I didn't include that, and but also thinking about the time too, but you have right here is a picture right here, and thinking about, okay, that's a nice picture right there. If you were talking to somebody and maybe they may have been talking to you, but what we're trying to understand here is to where that how come you don't have the 2 or 3 paragraph sentence right here about what you read about and then about the subject matter, if it was a history project or if it was anything related to English writing or your sentence fragment or anything like that. So anybody who's going to be writing a story that do we think about as to where anything artistic, such as they want to include the picture first and then go ahead and write a few paragraphs, or do they want to go ahead and write? But I know with me though that anybody that may say, yeah, you're going to be Matthew, you're going to go ahead and get those pencils and crayons, and you're going to maybe do a little, few markings or so underneath your name. And like, okay, Matthew, what are you doing? But then you're like, Warrentor, what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to write a sentence right here, not draw a picture. So it's like, I would think that almost everybody would be impressed about that, about how I drew the picture, and just think about that I was not looking at no pictures. I actually drew this freehand, if most of us can see that. So you're like, Warrentor, what's wrong about that? Like, well, that is very creative. So it seems like to where a lot of people go through those rough challenges, but on the other hand, it seems like to where they gotta go by the requirements. But really, what's the best chances of maybe that somebody would allow you to take the subject again, or maybe about passing, by a passing grade? One of those would be is to where that really that for one of those could be about behaviors, behaviors in class, but then on your hand too, maybe about somebody else that knows about your work as well. And then one of those will be as to where that we see of a lot of improvements whenever Matthew started, that it was all about as to where that his name and as well as the date, but then knowing about for proudness and goals as to where that you're going to have a little brother, maybe a little sibling maybe in class with you, and you're like wondering if it's going to be for digital designing, and anybody say, yeah, you didn't think that 25 years later that your little boy or your son or daughter or whoever that was going to be what you call entering as it was going to be getting serious about their artwork. So that's just something to think about, especially. So just thinking about it as to where if it's going to be a girl or maybe somebody that you're friends with, and you're like wondering, you're funny. Well, on your hand, it talk about right here. It's like if anybody wants to see, it's like, hey, go ahead and write your initials. I'm like, go ahead and write M right here, and anybody that may warrant to where you're funny. But on your hand, that you see right there is it, and then right here, like maybe a question mark. I can maybe add like a little question mark right here. So think about maybe quotations and like, well, maybe a period or so. Like, yeah, you know how to draw a period, or like you know but any type of mark. But anyway, like a dot right there, draw a few dots, some sort. But anyway, but there you have it. What I talk about right here is like for knowing about the goals and achievements as well as anything to be proud of. So talk about there's like your early childhood photos and like look back at that like yeah this like let's say this right here will be the original, but then by the time you graduate, then anybody that may want to work, what are your plans after you graduate? That seems like a pretty hard question to answer. But anybody has ever mentioned before you want to go on a date, or you want to get married, or you want to open up a business with one of your gals, or one of the girls that you've known since the 5th grade or anything like that. You wanted to write a book, or if anything that is like jobs. So any girls that you may have met maybe in the 5th grade you weren't, or that you ask yourself or anybody almost every day you're going to be curious about, did they ever go out and get jobs? So when people go to school, they go out and find work, right? How often do they say that to where that they've been at summer camp and they've been there since then, or that they decide maybe to join the Girl Scout, or that they decide to run a daycare center. So they ran a daycare center. They really they were getting paid a little bit, but then they were just volunteering. So people that volunteer, you're one to where that really that whenever they volunteer, or maybe do any type of odd jobs, side jobs or so, you're like one to where whenever school's over with, that they're like we want to where whenever I graduate, I want to be a farm worker. So gardener, whichever their interest is. So thinking necessarily to where that job's a job, but then knowing about really that does job happen before you turn 18 years of age? I'm like, maybe my job back whenever I was in the 5th grade could have been keeping my stuff organized and turning in my papers and showing great progress on my class report. But then now it seems like to where it's paying bills, taking care of student loan payments, when any of those things. But anyway, but there you have it. I talk about right here of right here like for between proud and goals, and Amanda Make 25. And thanks for watching. Have a great day.